Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the first webinar in our series, The Future Work with Gen AI. My name is Pallavi, and I'll be your host today. Over the next few weeks, we'll be exploring how artificial intelligence is not just a buzzword, but a game changer across various aspects of business, from customer service to sales, knowledge management, and beyond. Today, we kick off with a session that sets the stage for the entire series: how Gen AI is transforming the modern workspace. We'll delve into how Gen AI driven technologies are reshaping industries, enhancing productivity, and enabling smarter decision making. Before we dive into today's topic, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our speaker. We are thrilled to have with us today Mr. Anil Nair, CEO of AI Core 360 and industry leader, who is renowned expert in Gen AI and digital transformation. Mr. Anil has over 25 years of experience in this field and has worked with several leading companies to help them integrate Gen AI into their operations. From automating routine tasks to enabling data driven decisions, Gen AI is changing the way we work. And Mr. Anil is here to explain more about Gen AI and how your organization can harness its power.
Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I think one of the most interesting aspects which has changed after we went through a very difficult period in terms of COVID and the pandemic that we all went through was Gen AI. One of the most biggest disruption which happened today with all of us. And I think like Pallavi mentioned, everyone is impacted because of this. When I say impacted in a good way, I think the way Gen AI is changing our life around us is just tremendous, just amazing. I mean, you must have heard about people using Gen AI to write emails, to even to the extent that there are bots which are actually talking as salesperson, and maybe there will be a call coming to you, and it's not a human, but you might be interacting with a bot, and which is a Gen AI based bot. Now, this is how the world is changing around us. Of course, it brings a lot of opportunities as well as a lot of challenges as well, right? The frauds and all those things which we keep on discussing. But here we are to discuss mostly, the positive sides of Gen AI and why Gen AI becomes very important for all of us in the near future as well as in the far-fetched future. So let's talk through, what are the areas which Gen AI is going to, impact at least, in our workplace. There are a few of them which are like automating activities which we were doing probably manually today, or improving decision making, right? There are Gen AI based solutions you can implement where your decision making can be had, completely automated, or even customer interaction, right? Like I mentioned about the bot, Gen AI based bot, which is talking to you as a salesperson, right? That's really going to the next level of interaction with customers where there is no human involvement. I'll just take one of the examples to make you understand the gravity of the situation on why this is important. Very recently, I was talking to one of the customers for whom we are doing a pilot. They mentioned that they had a CSR, customer service representative team, and they were facing a challenge on how they can onboard customers. So there are a lot of queries which were coming into them, and the customer service team was not able to handle so many calls at one given point of time. Now, this is where Gen AI, we gave a pilot and they were very happy with it. We are going to the next steps now. But the whole idea is that now there are, bots or Gen AI-based bots which are supporting these customer service representatives to balance the load, right? Whenever there is too much of peak, this bot comes into picture. Let's say if it is, in the night, right? There are situations when you actually need to support in the night as well, right? When there is no human CSR available to take care of calls or pick up the calls, you can have the trusted Gen AI-based bot which can actually address customers' queries. So the way we see it is that the future, there's a lot of things which are going to change with respect to customer interaction. Before I move to the details of Gen AI, I want to get a pulse of what is the kind of audience that we have. So the first, there are many people who are still using Gen AI and trying to explore Gen AI. Maybe there are people who are doing some basics or using Gen AI for their basic activities like writing emails, summarizing articles. If you can use reactions on the screen to help me understand how many are in this bucket, right? That will help in gauging the kind of audience that we have today. So how many are, okay. Then the next is, I'm a Gen AI enthusiast. Sorry for that. I use it for everything from cooking recipes to brainstorming ideas. So, there are many people who will fall in this bucket. Third bucket would be, I am a GenAI newbie. I've heard the buzzword, but that's about it, right? I don't know enough. So I think this session will, start with, letting people know about GenAI and letting people get to the next level of from buzzword to, how to use it. And slowly, these sessions will help you in, mastering these technologies as well. Right. Last but not the least, I'm a GenAI pro. There may be many people in this forum who are already a GenAI pro, who are actually automating tasks and using the technology, understood the technology well, and using it more effectively as well. So there are multiple people who will be probably on this forum. So excuse me if it is too basics or too complicated. We will try to fix it in our next session. So now, let me start with some of the statistics that we have. Now, these are two statistics that we collected. One of the statistics was from McKinsey. What McKinsey says is that there are 60% of the businesses today have already adopted GenAI. Now, this is a very, very big number, right? I mean, it's very surprising that 60% of in such a short period of time. It happened 2 years back when ChatGPT came into existence and shook the entire world. Now we are talking about at least 60% adoption of this technology across industries, right? This is amazing. I mean, we have not seen such a large or quick adoption of any technology in the past so many decades. The next is, Gartner always also predicts that, again, like I mentioned in the last slide, customer interaction will become one of the most important elements. So 95% of customer interactions are going to happen through GenAI, right? Which is a huge. So what we have seen is an unprecedented growth in terms of how machine learning, natural language processing, robotic process automation, this has grown and given shape to the current technology, which is GenAI, which is even growing even more rapidly. So even if we look at from our organization perspective, we were actually using machine learning, NLPs, and RPAs in our for our customers. But then, we have graduated into GenAI, providing, like Pallavi mentioned, many solutions to our customers today using GenAI technologies as well. Now let's look at what has changed and why it has changed. Now I remember when in the past, when GenAI was not there, and we used to always say that Google is God, and that's how we used to always refer to Google being God. Because if something has to be found, if we don't know anything, we go to Google, we search for it, we get the answers, right? Now this is where how this the GenAI has completely transformed. Now I don't know I'm sure that many of my team members, for sure, instead of going to Google, they go to GenAI. So 90% of I'm dead sure of this, 90% of my team members are actually going to GenAI, which includes me, rather than going to Google. And there is a very valid reason for that, right? Now look at Google, what it used to give earlier, right? And very useful information. I don't think we can anyway, say that Google was never helpful. Google was helpful, greatly helpful to shape the world until now, right? Of course, Google is also coming up with their own versions of GenAI, but Google as a search taken a backseat. We have got into new technologies like GenAI, which are making it better, right? So what was that which got changed from Google and why people are adopting GenAI? Now this is very important. Now this is interesting as well, right? Now when we talk about Google, we used to retrieve information based on searches. There were too many options which were coming in, right? And we had to pick and choose from each of these results and pick the best one, right? How does that happen today, right? You go to GenAI, you ask question, you get a specific answer, right? Now, there may be an argument that you are actually getting only specific answer, right? You're not able to apply the brains and try to look at all the information before taking a decision. So it's very important that you also understand that when you have to use it, where you have to use it, right? Not always you need to pick up GenAI-based answers. You also need to look at, probably if you're doing a research activity, it's always better not to just go with one standard or one answer which is given by GenAI, but rather you should go and do more research on it. But most of the time, if you see your daily activities which are happening, you are looking for very specific information, right? And that specific information is typically addressed by GenAI. Now, if that is happening, I think one of the best thing which has happened because of GenAI is you get quick responses, quick, direct, accurate information, which you can use it for taking care of your activities and tasks. Second aspect is the Google points out resources from where actually it has got the information. Now, which is very important to even validate, right? I mean, you have links, 10 links from where you will actually go and get the base information from which has derived, right? Whereas in case of GenAI, there is no such information. You need to believe in it, right? So there is always a argument which is given. We have, as humans, we have stopped using brains. because the GenAI is giving the real, direct answers, and we are using it to do further, processing or further taking care of our activities. But at the same time, you also realize that if there is information which is readily available, why to search for it, right? This is where probably GenAI completely changes the whole equation for all of us, that we can speed up our activities as well. Now, so another aspect is that Google relies on keyword searches, right? Which is based on how you provide the required input, okay, and all the keywords that you put. That is the information which Google will retrieve. But GenAI will change that and will be giving. I mean, so of course there are various mechanisms like prompt engineering, all which can actually refine your content can use it for your generic needs, right? There are many other features. Of course, we will talk about that in the subsequent slides as well, right? You can generate new ideas. I mean, when you have to do some sort of a idea generation, idea creation, you can actually search for all these information and idea generation from GenAI kind of platforms, right? ChatGPT is, I think, one of the most popular one which we all use. Then you can also look at other areas like natural language, right? I mean, now the platform, if I look at ChatGPT, the way we are using it today, we are using it for using other languages, converting into different languages. We are using it for creation of videos, blogs. There are so many things that we writing emails. There are so many things that we use today, which was probably not possible through standard Google interfaces. So no credit taken from Google. It has made us what we are today. But at the same time, GenAI is completely, I think, overshadowed Google in terms of abilities and capabilities that has brought in, or which we can use more effectively to speed up things for us. Moving on, now again, some more statistics which are given by the companies like Deloitte. So Deloitte had, again, very similar to what McKinsey had quoted. So Deloitte survey says that 58% of businesses have already implemented GenAI based at least one function, right? Primarily for task automation. Now, this is very important. I mean, 58% is not a very small number. I mean, you can understand, if I look at from a world perspective, there are 350 million enterprises around the world. And if out of 350 million, you can imagine if it is already one function in an enterprise is already converted, 58% of the organizations have converted, that means a huge number in the last 2 years, right? And this is going at a very unprecedented space. Huge amount of organizations are growing and using technologies like this. And one of the survey also states, or research work also states, that organizations are going to die if they don't adopt soon, these technologies, which is very important. And also, as an organization, as a technology-based company, we are also helping our customers to pick up speed in terms of research and in terms of adoption of these technologies, to help them sustain, help them survive, help them even grow for that matter. Right? That's very important for organization. Another aspect from PwC says that GenAI is going to contribute up to 15.7 trillion to the global economy. It's a huge number. I mean, again, compared to that 58% business, this is also a huge number, and this is growing at a staggering pace. So soon we all will see that we are working on various companies. We are running various organizations. We'll start soon seeing this effect of GenAI in all practical forms in our organization, around our organization. The interaction that we have with our customers, our vendors, all these aspects are going to change using or will change because of GenAI in the near future as well. Moving on, I think one of the most important element of, before I go into the, I mean, I'll just skip the technicalities of this. It started with AlexNet. It was long back by 3 members who were doing PhD. They had come out with this paper, and they won the challenge of visual recognition challenge. And this was in 2012 when this started. And today you can see, right? I mean, the research work has been going on from a long time, right? So since 2012, this has been going on. But in fact, what happened in 2022 was the biggest disruption. ChatGPT 3 was launched. Sorry for this typo. ChatGPT 3 was launched in 2022 November, which changed the whole equation for everyone who was trying to adopt GenAI. For example, even our company, we were using LLM models, right, which is the base of GenAI technology. We were using the LLM models for the past 6-7 years, but we were not able to get the required breakthrough, get the required results out of it, and that was because of the models itself were not mature enough. But the moment ChatGPT came out with the version in 2022, the whole equation changed, not just for us, for IT industry, overall IT industry, and accordingly to the end customers who were taking services from these IT companies, right? So this is what happened, since 2012, while there were a lot of experiments we were being done, but 2022 marked the biggest difference in terms of how quickly it scaled up. And I remember, ChatGPT, for that matter, when it launched, in 5 days, it reached to 1 million customers, right? So 1 million users were using within 5 days of ChatGPT launch. They reached to 100 million in just 2 months' time, right? So, and no other platform system has seen such unprecedented growth. And most important, there are times that you feel that this is just a hype, right? Organization, industry, something new comes up, you believe that this is a hype, and it kind of starts and it dies down. But this was a very different change for us, all of us, that this sustained and this kept on growing, right? 5 days, 1 million, 2 months, 100 million. That's how it grew. And today, everyone is talking about GenAI, right? And this is how and why all of us should be very conscious of the fact that GenAI technology is here to stay and stay for long, right? So better we adopt GenAI rather than lagging behind or lagging behind in terms of all aspects, right? In terms of personally ourselves using these technologies to improve, as well as from an organization perspective. Okay. Now let's look at what are the challenges in implementing GenAI. Now, challenges in implementing GenAI, there are three primary aspects which are mentioned here. There are a lot of other things also. If you go to the nitty-gritties, there are many things like hallucination and guard railings, and a lot of things are mentioned or talked about. But if you look at it from a overall high-level perspective, when we look at it from our customers' perspective, these are the three things that they see as a challenge, right? First is capex requirement, and this was the issue, and slowly this is getting addressed as well. The first one is the cost itself, right? We all know, Nvidia kind of companies who grew amazingly well, like ChatGPT for that matter, because they were one of the biggest providers or manufacturer of GPU chips, right? So one of the biggest aspect was cost, and the cost of hardware, cost of GPUs were very, very costly. Slowly, it is kind of tapering down, and it will further taper down when more competition comes in the market. More companies are building these GPU chips, GPU cards, which will help reduce the prices, and which will also help organization to adopt this faster. Even then, from the beginning, since we started versus what we have today, I think there is a good amount of reduction in terms of hardware infrastructure. At the same time, software, right? Software, while yes, there are people who are there who will implement such solutions for organizations, but then this is also changing. For example, we are coming out with a model of SaaS-based subscription model for our enterprise customers. Now that means you don't have to pay anything upfront capex. There is no capex. It mainly will be OpEx-based model. Now this is something which is going to help enterprises as well, because to invest a lot in GenAI-based platform, software, hardware with the research that is required, it may be a bit of challenge, right? This is where you also need to look at options, alternatives, where there are SaaS-based models which are available in subscription model, so that you can adopt them faster, right? Another aspect was about small businesses. Now, while everyone at enterprise level have invested, I'm talking about large enterprises, have invested in such technologies as already, but and they have enough big pockets to actually look at the ROI, look at long-term vision, and invest enough so that they can get the ROI probably in a longer term. But at the same time, when you look at smaller enterprises, for them it's not easy to do this investment, right? And this is where one of the biggest challenges that they face. So they have to look at cloud-based solutions which are available, subscription-based solutions which are available for them. Secondly, technical expertise. Now, again, like I mentioned, one of the cost angle, beyond hardware and software, is also people angle. So people who are experts in GenAI technologies and all, that's also, if suddenly there is a huge growth, 58% businesses require that, that there will be enough demand on in terms of people as well who have skills in those technologies like data science, machine learning, AI, even GenAI, prompt engineering, those kind of technologies. So that's another challenge of enterprises will face, industry will face, in terms of getting those kind of resources to help them in faster. Of course, that also means hiring costs, right? You need to look at, you have two options: either to replace existing people or upskill existing people. In both the cases, you will look at you will have to look at the cost angle where you need to train people. And this is what is important. If you look at companies today, there are many companies who are investing in existing people, and it's not as difficult as from a technology perspective, like it used to be during the machine learning days, right? It's easier to train people on GenAI compared to machine learning. Just to give an example, we had implemented many solutions on machine learning before, a couple of years back for our customers. And we know that practically it was not very easy to implement such solutions. Now, GenAI is a much better solution, easier solution. So we have taken an initiative in our organization as well to upskill existing members to grow them and train them into GenAI so that they can use not just build platform, but also use technologies like this to speed up their work, right? So this is something which I think primarily will be, should be, and will be at the end of the day adopted by most of the organizations and companies. Last but not the least, I think data security, privacy, this becomes very crucial. I mean, this was crucial always, but when it comes to Gen AI, this becomes even more important, right? So when we talk about having an interface, like I mentioned about customer interactions and even customer support, or even a capability like we are doing with ChatGPT, right? You ask questions, you get responses. Now, if something like that has to be implemented for organized enterprises, one of the security angle that needs to be taken care of is that these Gen AI models have the data now, right? How do you ensure that this data is not openly available for everyone, right? So if I need to ask a question about person Y, I should not be able to get that, right? So these are all security mechanisms which needs to be built in the platform. The platform that you choose would be required to have all these aspects taken care of, so that from a security angle, this does not threat. It's not a threat for your organization. As well as the same scenario, let's say we talk about customer interaction, right? When you talk about customer interaction, if you are exposing all these data to customers, for example, I was mentioning about one of the solution that we implemented or are right now implementing in terms of customer support. You can, as a customer, you can ask our platform, our ChatGPT platform, information about yourself, right? Now, does that pose a security that can I somehow break this and get information from for someone else? Yeah, that's a threat that Gen AI poses, right? Because Gen AI is not a human person, right? Who's checking, who's calling, and to authenticate this person first, and then to go to the database or CRM system and identify for the same user you have to respond. You cannot respond to any other user, right? Now you're talking about an automated system in place. Now that means there has to be better security mechanisms which has to be put in place to ensure that these security threat does not impose or gets imposed on your platform or with your solution as a risk. So you also need to ensure that while there are compliances like GDPR, CCPA, which are there, which were always there. I mean, there are many platforms who are taking these care of these regulations. But at the same time, while the new technologies gets adopted, like GenAI gets adopted, these policies, these regulations also need to adopt, along with that, or change along with that, right? The same concepts will not be applicable anymore, right? Or rather, it will be additional policies that you have to build on top of these standard regulations to ensure that you are more secure, right? So this is another aspect that you need to look at in terms of GenAI, on how GenAI should be secure enough for your enterprise and for yourself. Moving on, let's look at some of the capabilities that I think I've given some of the examples. Let's talk about some more capabilities, some more use cases that we can look at. Right. One of the most important element is that capability of GenAI is natural language processing. Right. So today you ask questions to ChatGPT as if you're talking to someone and you get responses. Right. And this is one of the best thing happened for all of us around because typically earlier information was very tricky to get, right? Like I said about Google, you need to search based on keywords. You need to search through multiple documents. But imagine you are getting this information in your own language, right? The way you speak, the way you write to someone, you can ask this question and you will get the response. This is the best thing which happened in terms of user interface or user experience that people got, right? Now, what all we can do with it? It's tremendous. It's amazing. I mean, for example, chatbot interaction today, you will see that before GenAI came into existence, there were so many chatbots which were built for many enterprises, right? They was using AI based technologies. But today GenAI has changed the game altogether, right? And today, I mean, I'm just giving an example. We have a chatbot where you can talk to the chatbot in your own language. We call it ChatGenie. You can talk to the ChatGenie in your own language. You Hindi, Marathi, Malayalam, Tamil. You talk to them, and the chatbot will respond back, or the ChatGenie will respond back in your own language, right? So, there are challenges. Not everyone is well versed with English, right? So, if the information is available, let's say Google, when you search for information, you get information back in English, right? Imagine similar interface is there. We can talk in your own language, and the system talks back to you, right? So Google Home, Alexas of the world, which were doing that, right? They were literally providing information from the internet to you. Now imagine this interface available for a kind of an application like chatbot. This is what the first thing which is very, very crucial. And if you're not using today ChatGPT, please start using it, because it's that simple, right? Second is image generation or designing new product concepts. I remember around 5, 6 years back when we were looking, and I don't want to be, I don't want to, what do you say, create any, or create a threat to any role, position, or number of jobs which we are talking about. But I remember 5, 6 years back we were talking about automation is going to change the entire landscape for employment. Okay, where people, a lot of people's work will be taken up by automation. Right. This was discussion in 5, 6 years back, and at that point of time there were articles which were talking about some of the things which will not be replaced will be artists, right? Creators. These are the things which we were discussing these were the things which were discussed 5, 6 years back. Now the things have changed so much. Today, people are using generating video content, creatives, images, just by writing few lines of statements. And GenAI is able to create the vision of what you have described to GenAI. So Delhi kind of tools which are there in the market, which helps in giving a creative view or visual view of what you are thinking, right? So you type something, the GenAI tools and technologies will bring that kind of creativity and or generate that kind of creative visual view to whatever you have thought of and give it in front of you in some form, right? Some form like image and videos. So that's the thing which happened as a change. Code generation, being from a technology company, one of the first things that we did when ChatGPT was launched was we integrated that into our platform to generate code. So you can ask questions that, okay, I need this kind of code or this kind of functionality to be developed. The ChatGPT or the LLM models, GenAI models will generate that and give it to you, right? Now I always, there is always argument which keeps on going around that why should I copy and why should I rust my brain, right? And the way I see it is, if there is something for there available which is done by someone else, I feel there is no brilliance in recreating that or reinventing that. Just copy it. You will have enough time to think about future, right? Think about future technologies that you need to build, future problems that are not solved, right? This is where I feel that although there are like arguments from both the sides, I feel this is a technology we need to adopt and we should adopt at the earliest, because we want ourselves to be free to be solving future problems and future technologies solutions we want to build, right? So that's the code generation part. Many of you can actually go and do that yourself and try that yourself. Last but not the least, question answering, right? Virtual assistant. Now, I remember my daughter used to get the homework done by Alexa's and Google's Home. That's like a virtual assistant, right? You're asking someone. Now imagine, that's not a good thing, but let's go into the workplace now. So when we talk about workplace, what happens when a person, either that person is new in the organization or that person is, let's say, not knowing some fact, right? Experienced but not knowing some fact. In both the cases, either we do a lot of research, we spend a lot of time, or we actually go to someone who already knows this answer, right? And this is time consuming, right? The information is there somewhere, okay, but you didn't get it because you didn't know where to find it. Secondly, you didn't have someone who already knew this, right? And I will tell one of the very recent examples which we had faced in the organization as well. There was some issue which was faced almost 2 years back. And this information was there available with some specific person, right? But we were not able to get that because we never had that virtual assistant. Imagine the information about such an issue which happened 2 years back is already there in the system, right? Imagine all the knowledge which is there in your organization is already in the system, in the platform somewhere, right? And then there is this technology which is virtual assistant, which is helping you in addressing all those queries. You don't have to go to your seniors, you don't have to do research. You find all the information in those documents, not by searching, by just asking questions in your own natural language, right? For example, now I know people in many organizations are using this for operational support. So there are people who are actually supporting end customers. Now, and most of the time, these frontline users, or not frontline users, frontline customer support employees, they are relatively new, right? They are not really spent ages and ages on the product to support the customer with the problem they're facing. Now, this is where the organizations are adopting such technologies where they have these standard operating procedures, customer support documents, information which is there with them, and GenAI technology is helping them retrieving all this information in split seconds, right? And you are able to support customer immediately. And imagine the kind of customer satisfaction or user experience that will happen with this kind of quick responses. I remember I have been, doing a lot of, whenever I have faced some problems in terms of support, I've called people and they put me on hold. And what they are doing in the meantime is either they are checking with someone to understand what is the answer for this question which this customer is asking, I'm asking, or they are searching in the documents, manuals, and all the documentation that they have been provided to search for answer for me. And this is frustrating for customers as well. Imagine, you can see that there are technologies where people give interviews based on this. Okay, so which is not a good thing. But if we make use of these technologies for better things like customer support, it really changes the way we do business, right? So I don't know whether all of you have seen technologies where interviews, the question being asked are automatically heard by the GenAI based tools, and GenAI based tools automatically give the best response. So the interviewer, the person who is taking into it doesn't know, right? The person is just reading the content which is being published by GenAI. So these are kind of negative use cases of these technologies, because at the end of the day, even if you actually crack the job, crack the interview based on this, you are going to suffer at the end of the day, right? So I think there are pros and cons. I think we should look at the positive things. Like I said, if something like this technology is used for customer support, right? Customer is asking question, GenAI is listening to the queries, is responding then and there in terms of information. And these are not generic information. These are not information which is provided in the or available in the internet. These are information related to the customer, which is stored in your organization, right? And that's what is critical, right? So some customer, let's say for a telecom company, some customer is asking a question that, okay, what is my balance payment for this month, right? Now this information will not be available on internet, right? This is information which is available in your platform, in your organization. Now, this is where you can utilize such strength of GenAI to support your customers, and in a very quick manner, right? Of course, this will change into the next level. When I say next level, you don't need a person sitting in front of the customer or answering these questions. Next, these questions will be answered by the virtual assistant itself, right? Like I mentioned about Chat Genie, in any language for that matter. So you don't need to worry which type of customer is coming in front of you. So there are, most of the IVRs you must have heard, press 1 for English, press 2 for Hindi, press 3 for something else, another language. Now, all these things are going to change, right? The game is completely going to change into these kind of technologies, which will help, which will understand your language, which will use information, even though it is in English, it will use that information, convert back into your language and speak to you in your own language. So that's going to be the game changer in future in terms of customer support and how GenAI will help organizations. Now let's look at one specific aspect of use case rather, in terms of lead management or marketing, right? Typically, what happens in marketing, you have various steps. You try to identify, okay, this is my product. You need to identify which is the customer segment. You need to identify which is the best geography to get this. Then you identify the age bracket. A lot of things are done to identify customer segments, right? Once that is done, you try to see that how do you actually use your product to pitch to them, right? And then probably there are the subsequent activities of pitching to them, making sure that they get mailers. You write blogs, you invest time in pushing social media content, and driving a lot of marketing campaign before you can actually get a single customer on board, right? Now this was a huge long process that everyone used to follow. Even the research used to take a lot of time. To identify a good customer segment used to take a lot of time. You need to do, again, like you go back to Google, right? Google days. You search the content, you go through a lot of content before you can conclude that, okay, this is the best segment for you. Now, this is where GenAI has completely changed the equation, right? You have all this information which was there on the internet. Now, GenAI is helping us in consolidating and giving that specific answer. So while you do a lot of research, or you used to do a lot of research in Google, now you can actually quickly get direct answers in GenAI and make use of it, right? Like I mentioned earlier about creation of images, or creating images out of various GenAI-based tools which are available, writing content, writing blogs, writing emails. There are so many things, and I'm talking about marketing and sales, right? You can actually generate a lot of content from GenAI-based tools, technologies, and use that for your own consumption, as well as doing a marketing in and around for your organization. So these are some of the things which are kind of changing because of GenAI. So what will happen is, based on this, you can actually generate a lot of quality leads, which are very specific leads, right? You don't want to do a marketing which is general marketing and try to, and when you talk to the customer, you realize that, oh, this is not the customer which will buy my product, right? As an example, I'm saying, right? So you also need to be very specific in terms of, you need to have a targeted marketing. You need to be very specific in terms of which are the customer segments, and you need to narrow down so that when you talk to someone or when you connect with someone, you are going to be dead sure that yes, this person is my real or perfect customer who would be the most potential one to get converted, right? So you can use GenAI technologies to narrow down to that, right? Even sending a content, for example, you create, typically what used to happen was you used to create, for example, let's say you have a manufacturing company, right? You are trying to pitch to a manufacturing company. So, but as an organization, let's say you can pitch to 10 different industries. You would create one single mailer, or you would create 10 different mailers for them, right? Imagine now GenAI technology can transform a single mailer that you create into 10 different kind of, make it fine-tuned towards 10 different industries, right? How easy it is, how much time you will save because of these kind of aspects. This is where, again, from a use case perspective, if it is a lead generation kind of activity, marketing kind of activity, you can really make use of these kind of technologies. Then you have data-driven insights and automation, one of the main important aspects. Even for that matter, for example, let's say you want to interact with customer. Okay. Now, let's say if there are, I'm just taking an example, right? If let's say you are sending thousands and thousands of mails in terms of campaigns or social media content. Imagine if you starts getting responses from there. Okay. Will you have enough bandwidth to actually cater to them? Okay. You may have today, but let's say if you scale up and the volume grows and you have limited number of people, will you be able to address to the queries in a quick manner, in a fast manner? You need technologies which will understand your customers, right? And understand your customers' points, comments, messages, and then help in drafting the best possible response to them, so that at the end of the day, either their queries are addressed, or they actually move towards the next steps, right, in terms of conversion and things like that. So this is another aspect. Now even GenAI is going into the next level, where we can actually get a lot of insights from the data, right? So for example, we are heavily using GenAI in our own way for project management, for information gathering, for a lot of aspects, for marketing activities. A lot of things are being done in the organization for using GenAI technology, and we're still, I would not say we're still there, right? We have not done and dusted it. We're still in progress, and there is a long way to go, and we will keep doing this. And I'm sure that soon we reach to the level that okay, we have done it all. There'll be another new innovation or invention which will come in, which will again we have to start from scratch again, right? So that's the way technology is, and we all need to be fast enough, right? We don't want to be in a stage where we have not even touched GenAI and something more disruptive comes in the coming year. And we will be like, catching up with still GenAI. So it's better that we all adopt GenAI as soon as possible and as quickly as possible. Okay, so moving ahead, we're looking at the time. I will quickly talk about two use cases. One of the use cases was related to a tractor manufacturer with typical, English language. And when they ask questions, they don't write emails. They cannot write emails. They cannot send messages. What they typically do is they actually call customer service, right? For new offers, new products which are getting launched, other many aspects. This is what they do. They just call, right? And then this becomes a big frustration, not just for customers, because there are a limited number of customer support employees who can actually take their call. At the same time, if there are limited number of employees, they have to be on the call. I mean, waiting for their turn to come. That becomes frustrating. On the other side, the frustration comes to the company that they are not able to quickly address the problems of the customer, and they are not able to address it fast so that they can convert them into real customers, right? From an opportunity to conversion into a real customer, that is very important for any organization to survive, and this becomes one of the bottlenecks. This is what happened with them. This is what where they were looking at, and how we can change this. So now imagine a platform, a bot where you can talk to, right? So like you're talking to a customer service representative, you can talk to the chatbot in any language and any questions you can ask, right? Of course, if you ask not so great questions, you will not get response, because the scope is not internet, right? I mean, if it was an internet as a scope which is used to respond to these queries, then fine, you will get all the answers. May not be relevant answers also. But right now, the scope is what is limited to the organization, right? What are the tractor new models which are coming for these tractors? What are the prices for that? Okay, I have ordered, when I'm going to get my delivery. So these are some of the questions which will be asked, right? And the information lies within the organization, and that's how these kind of questions. I mean, this kind of platform help the customer to help the company to address their customer's problem real quickly in any language for that matter. So, it helped in two things. One was customer support. The service requests and all were quickly addressed. Most of the time, it was addressed by the chatbot itself. And then there was some additional which went to the customer service representative. This was one. Second was opportunity conversion. So typically, what happens is we try to call customers and pester them to get them on board. Now, this is where if you allow customers to explore your platform first, your offers first, this changes the whole equation, right? So you imagine the customer is freely chatting to the deep to understand your capabilities using this chatbot. Once the customer is satisfied, the customer will come to you. This is the change which will happen, right? When you actually go and probe, most of the time the customer is defensive, right? So what they do is they try to only ask limited questions, not give enough information, because you are trying to get them on board, right? So this is where the whole equation also changes with respect to opportunity. So you can change the way you will also look at new opportunities, new customers on the for your organization. Moving on, next is related to a company which is doing project management across the globe, and they have too many projects which are happening, multiple locations, multiple people managing it, and this became a challenge for them. That everyone is disconnected. Nobody knows. There are different sites where people are working. There are managers who are leading activities. And as a central, if you are an organization which is executing such a project, you need to have dashboards, you need to have insights to these projects, right? This is where these technologies can help in a big way, right? Imagine, you seeing a dashboard, there is an alert on the dashboard on some location that this is delayed, right? So imagine you asking a question, again, talking to your virtual assistant and asking a question that, okay, for this site, what are the activities which are getting delayed? Imagine that entire data comes in front of you, which you can analyze and take decisions immediately, right? This was never possible. You used to go through all the complicated project plans, all the complicated project management tools to analyze on a daily basis, meet people, ask them questions, and get the understanding. Now imagine you have a virtual assistant where you can just talk to them, and all the information on your fingertips will be available. At the same time, this was important that the data is secure. Not everyone can ask or get all the information that is there available. It is secure, in a way that only specific roles, specific people will have access to certain data. That's the way the solution was implemented. And huge amount of benefits, 20%, project timelines got reduced. Even costs in terms of overruns which were happening got reduced by 25%. Huge amount of benefits which they got. Okay? Now let's look at some of the critical challenges that company face today, and how I think I've mentioned all these things, and this is something which is related to our platform, our product, on how we are helping shape the future of companies and how they can benefit from these technologies. And most of the time in a SaaS-based model, a subscription-based model. So the first thing which I mentioned in many of the previous example is ChatGenie, right, where you can address customer queries in your own language, which is powered by GenAI. So you have all the information about your customer in your system, and your customers can come on board, they can ask questions, and they can get immediate responses. So no waiting time, right? You can thousands of customers can connect at a specific point of time. They're not waiting for also, right? One is asking questions. If you don't get answer, then what? So the platform also gives an option of raising a ticket. If you don't get answers, you have an option that you can actually raise a ticket. And this platform is also connected to the CRM system, right? So it is about you as an individual, as a customer, end customer. Your information is there, right? And it will connect to the relevant information database, and it will fetch that information and provide it to you. At the same time, it is secure enough that no one else will be able to access your information. That's the way the first ChatGenie is built, completely based on GenAI technology. Next is related to the project management. We have a Collabro platform, which is a project management come task management platform, and your entire organization can sit on it. If you ask me, we are using this entirely in the organization today. And like I said, when I have to ask information information about the projects, about what is happening, where are we delayed, I just talk to the virtual assistant. This is how we implement. This is what is a solution which is provided for on our platform or for organization. Last but not the least, I think one of the most important aspects is about cost, right? And the reason why we brought in a model of SaaS or subscription-based model was exactly this reason, that not many organizations will have an appetite to experiment a lot on these technologies. And this is where we thought that if we are able to bring a product which is more on a SaaS-based model, it will be a faster adoption, faster experimentation, faster ROI realization, right? So this is how we brought in some of those products in the market. There are many products which are there on the platform which can be explored. But these are some of the immediate challenges we saw, and we felt that something which will help multiple organizations. So just to conclude, we are almost, okay, 5 minutes remaining. Just to conclude, overall, I feel that I mean, there are, like I said earlier also, that many people who feel that this is having a lot of biases. There are a lot of pros and cons of it. I believe that technology is there meant to help all of us, and we should adopt and we should move on. When we should, strive to look at another disruption which is going to happen in the coming months and years. So thank you for today. And if you have any queries, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help with your queries.
Thank you, Mr.
Over
Anil,
to
for
you.
sharing your insights on the capabilities of Gen AI with us today. Now it's time for our interactive Q&A session. We encourage all of our attendees to share their questions in the chat box, and we will address them. Whether it's about today's topic or something specific you want to know, please just don't hesitate to put it into the chat box, and we'll make sure to answer it.
By the way, one of the interesting aspect I didn't show the last slide. The presentation that you saw today was created by GenAI. So that's a power of GenAI today. I mean, we used to struggle. I mean, nowadays struggle to create presentations. Now things are changing so fast that we are building these presentations using GenAI.
So we have question. First question is coming from Piyush, and this question is: how does AI Code use Gen AI in its products and services?
So basically, we were a digital transformation platform from a long time, and we have served many customers using our platform. One of the main thing which came was the GenAI layer, which we built on top of this, and probably not just on top of this. There are many multiple aspects where we use this platform. So, for example, first was IDP, so intelligent document processing, where a lot of our products were getting utilized, like invoice automation and all, contract digitization, where IDP was getting used, and we were using the traditional machine learning based model. Although we are still using machine learning based model, we are also adding on top of it the GenAI layer to improve our extraction capabilities. That's one. Secondly, like I mentioned in many of the examples, the GenAI based querying, right? You can actually in your natural language, you can ask any question. So all our products are equipped with GenAI based virtual assistant. Any product that you implement from our platform, you can have a layer of GenAI based virtual assistant where you can ask questions and you will get responses.
Okay. Another question is from Shubham. Does AI Code has any Gen AI tool like GitHub Copilot to assist developers, or any other plan to launch that in future?
Sorry. Can you repeat that again?
Does AI Code has any Gen AI tool like GitHub Copilot to assist developers for coding
Okay,
purpose?
so I think one of the things which I mentioned was one of the first things which we did was integrate GenAI to our platform to generate code, right? So people can write code, developers can write code instead of thinking or creating something on their own. If it is already available, why not to reuse it? So we have that integrated. I don't know how widely we are using it, but probably we need to monitor that as well to see it is extensively getting utilized.
And next question is from Ajay. How does AI Code ensure the quality and accuracy of Gen AI's generated content?
I think that's one of the most, I mean, I would say that the change which happened from machine learning based model to GenAI based model was it was able to give higher level of accuracy and faster, right? Machine learning models, we had to train a lot before we could come to this stage. But GenAI based models are inherently trained, and they give amazing results from day one. So that's you.
And the last question is from Ridhima. What are the specific benefits of using Gen AI powered products from AI Code?
Specific benefits. I think, first of all, like I mentioned about, you will get benefit in terms of speed, right? Typically, when we implement projects, it used to take a lot of time. And because it used to, like if I talk about machine learning itself, it used to take a lot of time. But because these pre-trained models, LLM models, which are being built by all these stalwarts, bigger organizations like OpenAI, Google, and we are utilizing them to help our customers to speed up these implementations. So I think one of the best advantage they get is faster ROI. That's the way I see it.
Thank you, Mr. Anil, for your thoughtful answers and for sharing your expertise with us today. This session has provided us with a clear understanding of how Gen AI is transforming the modern workspace. And yes, businesses now, new business owners or the current traditional businesses can integrate these technologies to reduce the runtime and also save cost. To our audience, thank you so much for your participation and your insightful questions. We hope you found this session valuable. As a reminder, this is just the first webinar of our series. And next week, we will be discussing enhancing customer interaction with Gen AI powered chatbots. So, where we will be delving into the Gen AI revolutionizing customer service. We invite you to register to our upcoming webinar. So, please keep an eye on the emails and continue exploring exploring the Gen AI capabilities within your organization. So thank you so much for joining us today, and you have a great day.